Hello and welcome back to UTS RC, and this is the second part of the indoor crawler overhaul. Let's get on it. Right, so last time we finished it where we had just got all the packing and everything done on this part. So now we are on to putting the plaster of Paris on, all the bandage stuff. Now for this, I am going to go and get changed because it can get a little bit messy. I also need some gloves, some scissors, and I need a bucket of water. So I'm going to get them, then we'll crack on with this. Let's see how we get on. Right, so this is the stuff in question. So basically all you do, you get this in like 10 metre, 20 metre strips. And where the fold is, so you can see that fold line there, just cut it off so you've got that much. Then put it in a bowl of water, there. Then put it straight onto there. Now I am going to need both my hands, so I'm going to cut it over here. Then I will put it on the tripod there, into the water, and then you'll see it going on. Right, so there's the first piece. Get hold of it with both hands and submerge it with both hands. Don't overlap it, otherwise it will all fold up and it'll be an absolute nightmare. And literally just lay it on the course like so. Dab it down into places so it forms the lines that you want it to form, and then literally go over it while it's still wet. Just fill in some of those holes, and that is it. That's all you need to do. So I'll do one more. Okay, again, into the water, make sure it's all submerged, let it drip for a minute, and then just overlap it off the previous one, dab it down just to smooth it in all the places, just let it contour to the terrain that it's going on to. Time you'll see that some of these holes will start to get a little less pronounced, and that's the plaster forming. So you can already see there the lay of the land. Just try to make it so you haven't got any like obvious creases. Just think how naturally rocks form. Think of the shape that the rocks make, and just try and follow the contours. And just obviously take any obvious creases out. But you can already see, if the angle's right on the camera. Sorry, I didn't realise that. You can already see. You're just starting to get some nice shaded areas. So the places where the car isn't going to go, so the idea is the car's going to come up this bit and possibly a little bit over there. So over here you can put a lot of the grasses in, just to make it look a little bit more natural looking. And we shall carry on. Don't worry too much about filling all these holes in, because once we've done this, once we wet it again, that's when we can hit it with the Postcrete, and you'll find that those holes will just vanish of their own accord. I'm sorry if you can hear any banging. Our next door neighbour's playing with his footy outside. So I find this really therapeutic. This is where that modelling side comes in, and you think, oh, I'm not really into that. But as soon as you start, you think, oh, actually, I quite like this. It's quite nice to do. What I'm going to try and do now is the slightly more trickier parts, which are underneath there. Now you won't be able to see them, so I will crack on with those and I will come back to you when I'm pretty much done. And there we go. It's just getting a little bit too dark to show you, but the plaster on this section is done. Really pleased with that. That's come out really well. The good thing about this as well is because you are putting it on when it's wet, when you've actually placed it on, if it looks too severe, you can actually press it down and you can actually make different shapes and different terrains as you're going. I mean, to me that does look a little bit too high, so we'll just level that out a little bit. So as you can see, it's a little bit more even on the incline. Again, it's still very rough, but once we get all the grit on it, all the sand on it, all the stones on it, hopefully it will blend in and it will look like it's been there all the time. I'm thinking I might actually put a nice little wooden surround or something around that, just to give it a bit of an edge, you know. Anyway, so the next part of this video is going to be to build this section. Now, as I said in the previous one, it's going to probably start from about here. So I don't know if I'm going to actually have the base lower. so it actually sinks into it, because I've got an idea. Got an idea, and it involves a tray, it involves water, and it involves branches. But we'll see. Anyway, for now, that's that bit done. Okay, so it's been a couple of days, and it is now very, very much harder than when we first put it down, which is good. Now, do you remember when I mentioned just off camera this little section on the left here, and I said I'm going to make something here so I can add to the course? Well, I've made something there. Oh, then I've also had a bit of a tidy, and I've also made something there as well. Don't worry about that box, because that box is for the bits on here. Now, we have left that drop, so I'm going to have it so we'll come down here, but then we drop down. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to build this edge up. But I'm going to build the edge up and possibly have the water section here. I don't know yet. I need to figure it out, because I've got a fair step to get up there to get into the tunnel entrance. But that's fine, because we can disguise all this with all this. But I'm thinking of having this area over possibly two, maybe 3 levels. So I want to have a highest level at the top with various ridges, but then I want to drop down to a secondary level, and then I want to sort of make maybe 2 levels that sort of interact with each other around the base of it here. I don't know. However, all I know is I've got another big area to play with, so I'm going to get on with that now. I've been busy, people. Okay, so let me explain the madness that's going on here. So basically, you would come now along this section, made this a little bit narrower. Now this is going to have gravel in and everything else, so it's not going to be green, obviously, but it's just going to knock you off kilter a bit. I might even put a few more in here just to make it a little bit trickier. So you would then come around this corner. Let me just adjust these. So this is my water feature. Granted, at the minute it just looks like a baking tray, and you'd be right, it is a baking tray. However, it's going to be filled with gravel, pea gravel, water, so you're only probably going to see water at this end. So this end is going to be quite rocky. But what I want to do is I want to try and have the ends of these sticks within the plaster so they stay. So I need to measure the actual width of the carve first before I put those on. Anyway, so you will come along this track. You would come off here. You would bend around this corner into a bit of a rocky section. It dips, it undulates, as you can see, and then you would drop off into this bit. Now, we're yet to decide what to do with that side. So you've then got the option when you're coming back from this side, or I might even try and do it from both sides, so you could actually come up this way. Anyway, for the time being, at something here, you would come along this here. This again will be undulating. I'm going to make it quite a bit narrower. So the sort of drop of it is sort of there. So there is quite a distance there. It does narrow here. Then this bit I might just have to build up a little bit. Then you would come across, and then obviously that's a fairly rough terrain, and then you're straight into the tunnel. So I just need to measure how high I can get the car. I don't think I'm going to have an awful lot more room up there, but we will see. But yeah, we are getting there. Again, it just looks ridiculous. But once we get the plaster on and we start to get the terrain and the Postcrete, it will start to look an awful lot better. I promise, it will look better. I've carried on. I've done a little bit more. Now, the last time you saw it, we were up to here. And as you can see, we have done more. Now, it doesn't really look that impressive on camera, but there are, believe it or not, three levels. There's this one, and there's this level, And then we go up again to this level. Now, I'm going to add a little bit more to it, just to make it a little tougher, because I did take the car around it the other night, and it went round it quite well. And I thought, that's not what I want. So, I'm going to build up this area, so we can come off here. I might even build this area up as well, so it makes it a bit more of a hazard. So you might fall, or you fall that way. Don't know. So we're going to build this area up, and I think we're just going to make some of these turns slightly more tougher. And I think we're going to put some more at the back here. You can't really see it because it's too dark, but just at the back there, and build that up. Possibly build this bit up as well, make it a bit more uneven. And then obviously we come down here. I've painted this that colour just so it takes the silver out, just so I can see what it could possibly look like when the stones and everything and the water goes in. But today's challenge is to get some Postcrete on here. So to put the Postcrete on, we are going to need some gloves. We're going to need a bottle of squirty water, and we're going to need some Postcrete. Now I think I got this stuff from, I want to say Tool Station, but basically Postcrete is concrete that you put around fence posts, but it's got grit in it and it's dusty as hell. So let me try and get the camera or the phone in a place where it's not going to get covered in dust, and I can show you what's going on. Take your water and literally spray the area that you want to have the Postcrete on. Now, give it a thorough wetting, okay? Now get your Postcrete. Let me get some out of the bag. There is the Postcrete, and literally go like that. And keep going like that. Until it looks a little bit like that. Now let me get you a bit closer. There you go. So as you can see, it's starting to look a little bit more rock-like. I can see where the gravel's landed there. So that's its own natural resting place, which is why when you lob the stuff at it, it finds its own path and it finds where it wants to sit. So I'm going to carry on with this now, and I will come back to you when it's done and you can see the difference. So after getting a little bit dusty, you're going to be left with something like this. So there we go. It's looking a lot better than just the white. However, I think that will wrap it up for part 2 of this this crawler course modification. The third part will be the finishing off of the packing on the other section to make that a little bit tougher, and then I think we will start with the plaster of Paris stuff over the top of that again, and then we can look at doing something like that over on this side, and that is when it really does start to get fun. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you on part 3. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Bye for now.